we are talking about how super tiny things can have a huge impact on our planet. For instance, a researcher can look at something so small for days, months, years, and hopefully one day change our lives forever. That's pretty cool, don't you think?
Imagine if your day-to-day life was dedicated to curing diseases, saving the planet. Scientists have the ability to look at the world and see not just what it is, but what it could be.
Well, take Dr. Daniel Parks for instance. Daniel could spend a whole day staring at something as tiny as a grain of sand. But here's the twist. Within that tiny grain, he's uncovering secrets about our planet's past climate, which could totally revolutionize how we predict future climate changes and tackle global warming.
It's all about that one piece of sand, or a single DNA strand, or a solitary data point in a massive sea of information. By understanding these minute details, scientists, they can scale solutions up to epic proportions, helping to save lives, protect the planet, and yes, even do something crazy like help us live on Mars one day.
My research is deeply embedded in one of the most pressing issues our planet faces today: climate change. My focus? The potential melting of the Greenland ice sheet. It's hard to overstate the seriousness of this scenario. If Greenland were to fully melt, the sheer volume of ice turning into water would drastically raise global sea levels and disrupt our climate systems significantly. My name's Dr. Daniel Parks. I recently passed my PhD exam. I'm working on some equality and outreach initiatives at the moment, but I spend most of my time analysing mud, sand, rocks, all from the bottom of the ocean. So inside this are probably around 100,000 individual species, which if we blow it up with a 3D printer, look like this. Neogloboquadrina pachyderma. It's a polar species that likes to live in cold conditions near sea ice, and they can tell you what sea surface temperatures were in the past. By analysing sediments and tiny marine organisms called foraminifera, I can gather data on past ocean temperatures and currents. This involves some meticulous and occasionally quirky lab techniques. For example, after separating materials, I sometimes find myself dancing and shaking a bottle of mud, and that mixes it properly before measuring grain sizes with high precision. This might seem like small details, but they tell us a lot about historical climate patterns. My ultimate goal is to shine a spotlight on how serious the melting of the Greenland ice sheet could be. Today, with added pressure of human-induced climate change, it's imperative that we take these warnings seriously and start implementing more robust climate resilience strategies. As a researcher, you're the first person to see what you are looking at and what you are discovering. And you might not discover the most groundbreaking, world-changing thing, but you will be part of the many studies that lead to that groundbreaking, world-changing piece of research.
This is Dr. Laura Kaur, a senior ecologist and international biodiversity specialist dedicated to the conservation of Colombia's rich array of native plants. Through her detailed research into the smaller components of our ecosystem, Laura illustrates how they wield significant influence on both biodiversity and human societies.
My name is Dr. Laura Kaur. I'm an ecologist and conservation biologist. So my PhD research focused on the conservation of useful plant species in Colombia. So by useful plants we mean any plants with like a known or reported human use, and that ranges from like food and fuel to medicine and more spiritual and cultural values. I guess my main motivation is kind of looking at how we can protect nature and biodiversity whilst at the same time understanding human needs. So this really brought that together. So Colombia is one of the most biodiverse countries in the world, but it's also suffering lots of deforestation, and it's quite complex socially and politically. So when you're thinking about conservation and protecting biodiversity, you also really need to think about the human side. So looking at plant use is a way to do that. So we understand how people use and rely on plants, but we also think about their biology and how we can protect them. As an ecologist, I've worked both in this sector as well as in research and academia, and it's taken me to so many different places around the world. So I've done a lot of field work in the UK, but also in Latin America and other parts of Europe. So it's allowed me to really explore, work outdoors, understand our connection of nature, and also, really importantly, work with people on that. We're currently in Prince's Gardens in South Kensington, so right in the centre, in the heart of London, really urban area. In amongst these flowers, we've got a lot of native plant species, so plants which would naturally occur in this environment. Okay, so we've got some dandelions in this lawn, and that's a flower and plant which I'm sure lots of people know. It grows all around the UK and many other parts of the world. But something that you might not know is that the leaves of dandelions are all edible, but also the roots of dandelions are boiled down and used as a tea. So that helps with indigestion and other ailments like that. But also there's lots of kind of superstitions and things around dandelions from different parts of the UK. So in the past, for example, some people thought that if you pick a dandelion flower, that might actually cause you to wet your bed. So many superstitions surrounding plants.
Laura's work is vital in preserving the exceptional diversity of beneficial plants and fungi found in one of the world's most biodiverse regions. Her approach skillfully combines ecological science with community engagement, aiming to safeguard natural habitats while improving local livelihoods. Through her detailed research into the smaller components of our ecosystem, Laura illustrates how they wield significant influence on both biodiversity and human societies.
Meet Mollie Mills. She's a researcher based in London, and she's contributing important work in the field of conservation paleobiology. With a deep-seated passion for animals and a talent for revealing their past interactions with the environment, Mollie's research is crucial for shaping the future of biodiversity conservation.
I'm Mollie Mills, and I'm a scientist at the Institute of Zoology based at London Zoo. So I'm a PhD student, and I work in both conservation and paleontology. So paleontology is the study of fossils, and I work particularly on mammal fossils, and from the last 2.6 million years. So I look at how these animals lived in the past and what changed their distribution and potentially why they went extinct in certain areas, and then I use that information to predict what might happen in the future under different climate change scenarios. So doves are super cool. They look like a fox, but they're actually a completely different species. They are most closely related to the African wild dog. They're really efficient, they are great team workers, and they all communicate through whistling because they live in dense jungles. So the whistling helps them when they can't see each other. The main reason I chose them was because they are the underdog. They are currently threatened by lots of different things, which are all kind of interconnected. Their kind of ecology is really unknown. We don't know exactly where they live. We're not quite sure how humans are impacting them. And then I realised that they have a massive fossil record. People have looked at bits of their fossil record, but they've never stitched it all together and told their story. So that's what I wanted to do. My research so far has been a huge dhole treasure hunt, basically. I'm looking for their fossil records throughout Europe, Asia and North America, and I mainly have to do this by searching museum collections. I have to go to the museums and look at the fossils. I also have to search through written records to try and find them. So I'm piecing together the puzzle of their past life. I think so with the dhole, we need to change people's perception. One, we need to get people to know who they are, because they're very unknown in the conservation world, and also, you know, wider world. I mean, there's fewer dholes than there are tigers in the world, so they need conservation strategies, and there is a lot of people working on the ground to try and get this to happen. We need to know more about them, so we need more research done on them. We need to know how are humans impacting them, how threatened are they, how close to extinction are they, because they could be really close to extinction. Seeing a fossil, like a dhole fossil, that's 600,000 years old. You're just holding it, and I just can't believe it's survived. Like, think of how long it's had to sit and wait there to be discovered. And I just think that that's so amazing. And every time I have one of these fossils, I just think of the dhole in that place at that time, like so long ago. And I feel like I'm putting together their history. That's my favourite part.
By understanding how species like the endangered dhole have historically adapted to environmental shifts, Mollie's work offers valuable new perspectives that help in protecting our biodiversity and also ensuring a sustainable future. Throughout our exploration, we've seen the significant roles that even the smallest elements within our ecosystem play in shaping our world. Each one of these pieces of research provides a new understanding of Earth's intricate ecosystems.
As inhabitants of this planet, we share a responsibility to foster and maintain its health for future generations. Your engagement and curiosity are crucial in this ongoing journey of discovery and conservation.
Thank you for joining us on this enlightening exploration. Let us continue to be inspired by our shared passion for discovery, and let's work together towards positive change for our world.